This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategist. Thank you for tuning in. How's it going? Week 4 was definitely interesting as well. So I tend to laugh because, again, fantasy football brings about some trying times, some ups and downs and many surprises throughout a season. So week 4 was definitely exciting, from the Thursday night game all the way up until the Monday night game with the Raiders and the Chargers. So definitely hope it was good for you. You know, particularly if you listen to these broadcasts, you definitely should be getting some valuable information to move forward in your endeavors in each of your fantasy leagues. But that was week 4. Now let's move on to week 5. Week 5 is where you're definitely going to be playing with some power. Now, for the first 4 weeks, you know who you are, you know your team, you know what you picked up, what you traded for. So now, let's see what's going on in week 5. What can we do? Because there were injuries, there are some surprises, so some consistency with some guys that aren't big names, but they're definitely continuing to add value in fantasy week in and week out. So let's get into it. Let's see what's going on. Week 5, playing with power. Power play. So power play 1 is to add Laviska Shenault. He's going to be replacing, or actually Tavon Austin is replacing DJ Chark, but Laviska's production should go up because of DJ. Tavon Austin is more of a flex. I mean, and that's a low-end flex, because traditionally, even on other teams that he's played on, he doesn't get enough volume as a traditional wide receiver. So Laviska Shenault is definitely going to add to that, because he right now he's only rostered in 71% of the ESPN league. So there's about 30% of leagues that don't have him as an active player on a roster. As well, his targets in week 1, even with DJ there, were 9. Week 2 was 7. Week 3 was 4, and last week was 7. So you're looking at 9 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets, 7. So even with DJ there, he still had a decent amount of targets. But now with DJ not there, he should definitely move up in productivity as well as touchdowns. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't that good of a team, so they're going to be throwing a lot because they're going to be playing from behind a lot. So power play 2, Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones is only rostered in about 32% of the league, ESPN league. So, and he's averaging 27.8 points per game. So a lot of people still don't have a lot of faith in him. I'm not going to understand why. Again, Giants aren't that good of a team. Hasn't been for a few years now. And, you know, Daniel still makes some mistakes. But this is fantasy. So fantasy, you need points. So that's 27, roughly 28 points you can add to your team, particularly if you're in need of a quarterback. Because there were some quarterbacks that went down. Again, Teddy Bridgewater went out. So I don't know if you want to stick with his backup, which is Drew Lock. No, I'll take my chances with Daniel Jones if I got to do that. So power play number 2, add Daniel Jones to your roster. If you need him as a starter, start him. Maybe not necessarily this week coming up, because he's playing against the Cowboys. Even though he's going to be probably playing from behind, he's still not going to. Again, that's the Cowboys defense. So he could be a couple of pick sixes, a couple of interceptions there, particularly with Trayvon Diggs playing the way he's playing. So, but add Daniel Jones as your power play 2. Power play 3. Now, power play 3 is for individuals that are in leagues that have defensive players, individual players. And Denzel Perryman is definitely someone you want to add. He's a linebacker for the Raiders, number 52. He averages over 10.8 points per game, so that's roughly 11 points. And he's only rostered in 45% of the leagues. So, he's there. And both of you in the ESPN leagues, he's there. Go get him. Don't just add him for your bench. Add him to activate him, because he's one of the top linebackers in fantasy football right now. So go get him and add him. Power play 4. Now, this is one that's very interesting, because, again, not a big name. Traditionally, not a lot of active productivity. But Dalton Schultz, for the tight end of the Cowboys, is averaging about 14 points per game. He's only on 21% of the rosters in ESPN. His targets, let's go to week 1 through week 4, 6, 2, 7, and 8. So he only had one down week where he wasn't, let's say, above 5 targets. In each of and he scored in at least 3 to 4 games for the Cowboys. That's pretty good. So you can look at him. You can look at him and see he only catches touchdowns. That's not 100% accurate, but that can be you can look at him as just, he's one of those guys that catches touchdowns. That's his main thing. I mean, his main thing with the Cowboys, of course, is block. But when he does go out in routes and he gets his receptions, he's getting touchdowns. So again, target 6, 2, 7, 8. Hard to beat that from a tight end position. Go get it. Power play 5, Damian Williams. Now, he's the running back for the Chicago Bears. David Montgomery, unfortunately, had a knee injury. So Damian Williams is likely the guy to replace him. And he did replace him in a game. Now, he also suffered a leg injury, but it seems to be just more of a thigh bruise than anything. So just with some treatment within a week, he can definitely be back on the field on Sunday. So don't be scared off from the simple thigh bruise. Damian Williams, a Super Bowl champion who was very valuable in that Super Bowl for the Chiefs a couple of years ago, and he's only rostered about 15% in the ESPN league. So Daniel Williams is definitely someone to go pick up. If you need a running back or if you need let's say a solid flex, he's going to get touches. So again, in fantasy, the more touches, the more opportunity to have big numbers. So Damian Williams, go get it. Power play 6. Now these are the defensive team. Now if you listen to some of my podcasts before now, you know that I've been high on the Cowboys. Even in the preseason, I ranked them in the top 5 fantasy football rankings. So they are there. Right now they're currently ranked at number 5 in fantasy football, and they're only rostered at about 22%. They're there. Go get them. Not only go get them to put them on your bench, but activate them. Particularly this week, they're playing the Giants. So even though it's a rivalry game, they should have a big day. Go get the Cowboys defense. And also, go get the Arizona Cardinals defense. They're currently ranked number 2, ahead of the Cowboys. So then they're only rostered at about 32%. They're there. Go get them. So if you get either one of them, if you can get both, get both. Make those 2 your defense. So you wouldn't go wrong either way by plugging either one of them in. But Arizona is currently ranked number 2. Go get them. 32% roster. They're available in 70% of the leagues. So just to sum it up, playing with power. You got injury replacements you got to make. Add consistent players that are not big names, and trade big names for consistency. It's simple. It's that simple. Now you're on the process of staying the course. Because if you're, let's say, 2-2, 3-1, or 4-0, or if you're in where you're playing double headers, so your numbers are going to be a little bit higher. But if you're in a good spot, you're trying to stay the course and elevate. Stay the course, elevate. So you have to replace some injured players, add some consistent players that aren't big names. Again, someone like Dalton Schultz, and trade big names for consistency. Because some people are just in love with a particular big name, like let's say the Kittles. Some people just love him, but right now he's not performing. So if you have him, trade him. Particularly if you don't see him doing anything later on, or you kind of just fed up with him. But if you don't have him, if you see him doing good things later on, go get him. Again, this is playing with power in week 5. So move forward with great intentions. As always, chess mind, poker face. This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategist. Till next time. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Thank you.